Days after this. See, I think that's kind of a close race.
This is important information. Well, we'll ask.
Well, hi everybody. Welcome to election night coverage here on DC TV, Channel 15, live on the Comcast system. You're watching the live coverage of the November 4th, 2014 election. It's going to be a lot of fun. We hope it's informative. We hope you join us by calling in and talking to all the guests that we have tonight. It's going to be a great time. Now, this program is also simulcast on KDIRT 95.7 FM here in Davis. My name is Richard Harris. I used to be on the school board years ago, and my gorgeous, beautiful, wonky, brilliant co-host, Ana Ferreira, lobbyist extraordinaire and education expert, is with us tonight too. So we're really going to have a lot of fun talking to the school board candidates and a few other people who come on. We want to give a shout out to our partners, City Government Channel 16, the Davis Community Network, OMSOFT Technologies, Yolo County Elections Office, and also, of course, thanks to all the great crew here that do this just for fun at DC TV. The director switcher is Diane Didashka, the coach who's back behind the wall here. The floor managers, Una Cho and Tyler Schaffo. The cameras, Bill Lorfine, Peter Peterson, and Emily Merton. Audio, Peter Baum. Lighting, Jeff Shaw. The results, Alex Silva Saturn is putting a lot of this together for us. We'll have that on the computer later. That should be pretty neat. And the executive producer that kind of keeps it all running is Autumn Renault. I know, I've just messed it up just to mess with her. Listen, the number to call tonight is 757-2419. And DMA's Twitter feed is @DMA Feed. Makes sense. And on Facebook, check us out at Davis Media Access. Like I said, it's going to be informative, but we're also going to have fun, and we're going to be here for a while, so please join us by phone. I want to turn it over to Ana, who's going to introduce our first guest.
Well, we're really pleased to have you here with us. You know, don't worry. First person is not the guinea pig in this situation.
It'll be easy.
So we're pleased to have Chuck Reardon here with us today, and he is one of the wonderful people who have put forward their names for your consideration for school board at this November 4th, 2014 election. So Chuck,
Yes.
Does it feel good? It's all over with.
It feels great, no matter how it's going to turn out. I think all the candidates would agree, especially the last 3 months have just been really intense. I think you've seen several candidates that have just given it, 110%.
You all did. You all did that. It was great.
Yeah, and there are some that really shined, I would say. But yeah, I mean, no matter how you approach it, it is a very intense 3 months. So yeah, I think it's fair to say that everyone is much relieved.
And we kept it clean and all of that.
Yes.
I feel like you were unique. Each candidate has some unique qualities, but I thought that your story about being the first person in your extended family to finish college was very interesting. I have a similar background, and I just think that's you're kind of a pioneer out there, and that resonated with me. Tell us more about your perspective and what that brings to you as a candidate.
Well, I think just having to kind of come to that realization at a young age that if I really want to change my situation, I had a wonderful upbringing, loving parents, nothing wrong in that regard. It was it's a great situation, but it was just something that I for myself realized that I wanted something more, and I wanted to have a lot of different options available to me as I came of age and started looking towards a career. So certainly public education, regardless of what situation you're born into, is kind of, to me, like the great leveler. If you really want to apply yourself and you want to give it your all, I think it's fair to say the sky's the limit. So I think it's just a wonderful avenue for those that want to better themselves and build a better future.
Did you get a fair shake with the voters? Did you feel like you had an opportunity to interact with people listened to you, and then you feel like you had, a fair shake,
Sure. Yeah. And I think in talking to people, there's a lot of ideas and issues out there that really resonate. And then also you learn a lot of things that you either hadn't thought of, or you just think about from a different angle, that they see it from just a slightly different perspective. And it, by talking to all those different folks, it really better informs the whole picture.
One thing I feel like I learned, in the years that I've been here, as with my kids and school board and all of that, is it really is a team kind of process that you're working under. You kind of have to come to consensus and all of that. But I think the expectation is that you're also going to do your homework and have your own opinions as well. So do you see those things as adversarial, or do you if you were on school board, what were the issues that you would bring as your own?
Well, I think to address the first part of your question, I think everyone comes at it with their own certain interests and things that they would like to emphasize, and I think the good part about a healthy debate is that you really give every question or issue or challenge before the district, its full hearing, and so you need to air these questions completely. Everyone needs to provide their input, and then I think ideally what happens is that the board has at least a unified direction forward. There may be different opinions and where things are going to fall one way or another, but at least there's a cohesive direction forward, and that everyone feels that they got their say. For me, I think certainly with Common Core coming online, it's it's still got a lot of road testing to do, a lot of controversy, just endless questions. People are just not comfortable with it yet. So I think in terms of even at the national level, how it's rolled out, I don't think people really got the warm and fuzzy, and so we're even dealing with that locally, that what is this really about? And I think for me, I see it as the inherent flexibility of that approach, that it provides tremendous opportunity for what I think of as inquiry-based learning. And that's more of it's a back and forth between the teacher and the students. And the teacher kind of gets the conversation going, but then the students, it kind of fuels and it builds upon itself. And then the questions are coming from the students. And so the teacher becomes more of a facilitator. And obviously there's some that's still rote and basic literacy that you have to address. But I think in terms of higher order thinking and more collaborative, style learning and creative problem solving, I think that's really a good vehicle for that.
Do you agree that it was, kind of teaching to the test for a while there, and at this point something else might be a welcome kind of situation? I mean, it feels like, from what you're saying, and I've heard that too, that, that it might be a welcome change for all of us. Are there particular things you like about Common Core?
Well, I think the one aspect that I like in particular is that it's not just what are the kind of mechanistic steps for getting to a answer. And in some cases there are multiple answers, and in other cases there is a single answer. But for those where it's a little more wide open, there's more emphasis on the process. And it takes into account different learning styles, just even different factors weighing in differently. So it's really, again, it's not really a formulaic or static approach. It's something that is much more participatory, I guess you could say, and it's emphasis on how you get to the answer. That's and I think ultimately what needs to happen is you find balance. Because right now, if you go too far that direction, things start feeling a little bit untethered.
Right.
But I think it's a welcome change to see that aspect starting to feed into the curriculum.
So let's talk the election and all of that and the process. People like to know, what the candidates have been through all that. What was the most fun you had during all this? There must have been that one moment, the aha or something, farmer's market, door to door. What was it? Yeah,
and I think sometimes just even the chuckles. If you're just standing around with fellow candidates before you go into some forum, and just kind of sharing little tidbits, not exactly war stories, but you just have some. You kind of let down and have a few chuckles along the way. And then also, at the farmer's market, this is Davis, and you meet some really interesting characters.
Yeah.
And it just kind of fills out the whole experience. So if nothing else,
what was the biggest surprise? Maybe.
I would say the amount of effort, and it's one of those things going in. It's going to be huge. My particular work situation. I had concerns about that going in. I mean, basically, my workday is 13 hours door to door.
Yeah.
So I knew that, and then also I work in downtown San Francisco. So I have some serious practical and logistical constraints, and I knew that going in, but it really became obvious, early on in the campaign season that it was a huge challenge and presented some pretty clear disadvantages. I mean, again. I was my reasons for joining the race. I mean, I had a driving interest and passion to be part of this. I think the district's at a very important crossroads. I feel like I could bring something to the table.
Well, and it certainly seems like you've managed to spend a lot of time volunteering in addition to your work.
Yeah, and that was
you're part of the strategic planning process,
yes,
right?
And I think that was really kind of a little bit of icing in terms of deciding whether or not this was something I wanted to pursue, because it was an incredible experience. You have these people from different walks of life, and you had people within the school district, you had members of the community, and it was amazing. It was truly amazing how. Again, you could see there were clear differences of opinion, but everyone came there deciding that they were going to work together. It was a choice, and it was actually beautiful to see it unfold and the outcome. I mean, I think some really good paths ahead with the strategic plan were identified. And I mean, it really is, a lot of it is somewhat abstract and far-reaching, but as you go, you can add tangible goals and objectives that it just kind of provides a roadmap. And it was a wonderful experience. So that certainly played into my decision.
And then it got you onto that other road, which was being a candidate. We've got just a little bit of time left. I want you to give us what's the last thing we should know about you, and maybe what's your job situation going to change a little bit, so that in 2 years you might be able to give it another run with more time. I mean, that's maybe a little too personal, but maybe will you think about running again?
I think
20 seconds or less?
I think actually my work situation is looking to get potentially more intense because the workload is looking to increase. So I think from a practical standpoint, it's not likely. I think that, again, that was one of the really key issues that came home to me personally in this campaign. As much as I wanted to pursue this, it was a challenge. Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't mean to say that in a way like you weren't going to win. I'm going to ask every person that exact thing tonight. Yeah, I managed my expectations.
If you don't make it, are we going to see you again? So then I think that was a fair answer on your part.
And timing is everything. I admire anyone who wants to get into public service right now. It's a tough time. We have a lot of issues ahead, but we really appreciate your willingness to do that.
Well, thank you very much.
And thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
All right. Well, this has been fun so far, huh?
Pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
So later on, we're going to be looking at some of the other statewide races that are going on, and we're also going to talk with assembly member candidates, right? They're going to be calling in, so stay tuned. At this point, I know
we've got other people that are going to come in as the night goes, too.
Yep.
Now, we've got websites we're going to go to, which will also show us some of the races. So if somebody out there has a race statewide that they want, they want information about, maybe somebody is running or know something about a race down the state, call us, and if you're not by your computer, and we can pull it up on the famous DCTV computers, DMA computers.
Right, it's hard at this early hour to get anything of usefulness, I guess, because they're still calculating those numbers. So probably later on in the show, we'll be sharing what we know. Well,
let's welcome our next guest, Mr. Grada. Nice to see you. How are you doing?
Oh, just fine. Thank you.
Thank you. It's election night, and the election is now officially over. So everybody gets to come in here and breathe a little sigh of relief, and maybe just relax a bit here on our couch and talk to us.
Share with us a little bit.
Use that pillow if you want. There you go. We appreciate your stopping by. Jose Granda, obviously, for the folks at home, one of the candidates who ran this time. Well, did you, what was the experience like? Did you get your message out there? Was it, everything you thought it was going to be going into it? You've run before. How did it compare? I know I'm kind of throwing it all out to you, but just, the election's over now. So what do you really think?
I think that, for me, it has been a natural set of events because I live in Davis 36 years. So going to the farmer's market, talking to people there was nothing new for me. I know a lot of folks in town, and it was a great experience in that regards. I think it was a bit taxing on the time because you had to get up really early. If you don't get there by 7, I think you will get to the last stall in there. Yes. So I think I was able to get the message across. As you know, I knew that going into the race, I will have an uphill battle because we have 6 candidates and me that is different than the others. I think I've taken
Why do you
a stance.
think you're different?
Because I have taken a stance on several issues that are not similar to their candidates. And the main one is the parcel taxes. That has been a battle that I believe the time has come to reflect on that. It's not that I'm opposed to taxes, but the idea is that paying 34 years of taxes, when the school district tells the voters that this is a temporary tax, and then they keep extending it, then that is, I don't feel that is treating the voters and the taxpayers very well, especially when the money is not causing an effect for everybody. It may cause for some special groups, but very little impact. We have a budget that is over $76 million, but out of those, 70 of those comes from our income tax, federal sources, and so on. So I think, people reflect on this. I think there's another issue that I've been thinking as the day closed today, and that was that when you make a decision about these taxes, you're only taxing people who live in homes, while the decision is being made by people who don't live in homes. And I think there is some issue of unfairness there, because if the ones who decide were the homeowners, then it really doesn't matter which way they decide. That's their money, But you have homeowners paying taxes that other people decide for them. And that was a message that I wanted to get across. So that's one issue. I think I also had a bit of in the campaign there were a couple of controversies, mainly the issue of the conflict of interest that I brought up about Madhavi Sunder and our Barbara Asher, both of them, because I believe that a trustee should not come into the school board to put their own personal agenda, no matter what it is. We had the Nancy Peterson case, and Madhavi Sunder wrote an article on the Vanguard about homosexuality in the schools, and this needs to be celebrated and all this stuff. So I took issue with that, and I wrote that against that was another conflict of interest, and of course caused a big uproar. Well, but I think it's a good discussion.
I think that you're correct. It's a good discussion. I remember seeing something about diversity and
yes.
and wanting to be accepting of all types of students, and I do think that it's been some interesting perspective that you're bringing to the table. I think it's the parcel tax issue is another one. I agree. Have you reached out to what groups do you think you reached out to more?
That's an excellent question, because if I were to win this race, which I hope I do, it would be because of the Hispanic vote. I'm the only one out of the 7 candidates that can communicate with 18% of the parents and the kids in the district. Okay, and I really have a genuine interest in seeing them successful. I've been doing STEM careers for all my life. I am a professor in the mechanical engineering department at CSUS, and my whole career has been to bring these Hispanic students, the underrepresented, into the engineering and math and science. So that's one group. The other group is I am sensitive to the disabled because of my daughter Sarah, who is very well known in the community, and I think that I would champion that cause for them. Also the group for languages. I speak 4 languages. I speak German, French, English, and Spanish. I believe that this should be an integral part of education. So when you think about math, science, and STEM and languages and special kids, those are my constituents. During the campaign, I was asked a question whether I will cater to special interest groups. 6 candidates answered no, and I answered yes. Because I said my special interest groups are the taxpayers, the students, and the teachers, basically, because those are the ones who are in the trenches, like me, every day in the classroom, making a difference for our kids.
So when you talk about, I know you had the 3 T's with the teacher, and technology was one. Yeah. Are you talking about STEM when you're talking about that?
That's
or are you
right. Because
talking about actual technology bringing into the classroom?
I was talking about both of those, because what I do is I teach STEM, but I do it with technology. I use, for example, right now I am in the process of replacing the blackboard by the screen, by the computer. And so I have a system where from an iPad I could control another computer, and each student is looking at the same screen while they also have the big screen. So I could write on my iPad and explain if somebody has a question, and everybody is seeing what I'm explaining to that student. So the explanation that I would take the time to talk to a student is benefiting everybody, and the only way to do it is with this technology. So that was the one T, the taxpayers, obviously we talked about that,
right.
And teaching is because that's my passion in life. And you know, the word that you mentioned about diversity is, you know, being a Hispanic person, I feel strongly about that we need to have a representative on the board, and diversity means everybody. And when I got into the controversy about the homosexual issue, I wanted to say that I respect and I agree that nobody, for any reason, should be bullied or being disrespectful. But that includes also kids that have religious beliefs, and everybody should be treated equally. And that was the point.
So as we have to wrap up here in about a minute or so, and you know the time constraints we have. So if you don't win, will you run again? This is a question I'm going to ask everybody. If you don't win, do you see yourself running again? And what do you see your role being in the next parcel tax election, which it's presumed that since it is a major part of the funding for the district, that there will be a push to go back to the voters and once again ask them to, you know, to reaffirm their support for parcel taxes.
Okay.
Do you have and we don't have much time, but
yeah,
fair question.
I think that is a very fair question. I think regarding the first question, I would have to think about this issue when the time comes, so I cannot give you an answer whether I will run again.
That's right.
Regarding the parcel tax, and if I were to be elected, obviously, I would not be the chair of the committee that opposed the taxes. I mean, that's obviously a conflict of interest that I would
Or to support, probably.
Yeah, right. So one of the two. And the other thing is that when it comes to the parcel taxes, if I don't win, most certainly I will be involved in the campaign to oppose the tax based on what I told you. I think we need to reflect and look for another avenue rather than treating only the homeowners footing the bill, not everybody else. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If it would be taxing everybody, then I let it be. But this is only for those people who own homes. So that's the.
But everybody sends their kids to school, whether you own a home or not, though. But questions for another day, and maybe next time we can discuss.
Right.
Well, I hope you had some fun while you were campaigning as well.
Oh, it was. I think there's very good people. I'm very thankful to the support in the community. And of course, once in a while, you get into a debate, a heated debate with somebody who doesn't agree with you. But
all right.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, and good luck to you.
All right.
We're going to now look at some absentee votes, right? Is I think maybe the next thing, and we can call that up on your little computer maybe, or maybe they can put it on the screen.
Let's look
You guys
and
have
see.
any absentee votes that we could bring up? It's after 8 o'clock. Let's see how we're doing. Here we go. This is our first update. And,
We're going to try and see how this works.
can you see it on there? I'll read it off the screen. Looks like Madhavi Sunder is in first place with 25.4%. What, am I having trouble with my microphone? Can you read the rest of them there, Anna?
Yes. Barbara Archer is second with 44.
No, 20.7%, and Tom Adams was 17.6%.
What is that,
I think
44?
on the other side it says ballot percentage.
Right.
Anybody know? Somebody call us from the elections department and let us know what in the heck what they're talking about there.
And then
I
third
think
is
that's the number of ballots that they're actually on.
vote percentage, right. And third is Tom Adams. So so far that's what we've got. Fourth is Bob Popengay.
Right, and then Mr. Granda, Mr. Nolan, and Mr. Reardon is the way I read it there. So,
But, you know, we need
and
glasses, so.
I've got glasses. It's not helping.
You can
But,
probably see it on your screen.
Everybody at home can see that a lot better than you and I. Oh, they
put
caught
my
us with our
glasses on.
glasses. Well, we're having a lot of fun here tonight. We want to thank everybody for joining us, and we also want to thank our new guest who has just arrived. And it looks like she's probably pretty happy because it looks like she's in first place. Anna?
Well, thank you for joining us. And now, you know, we've been talking with the wonderful candidates for school board. It's nice to be able to breathe. It's over.
Yes. It's over.
And, you know, we were talking with them about their unique perspectives that they bring. It seemed like everybody had something different that they were coming to the table with. Many of them were volunteer, you know, had strong volunteer experience. One of the things I see, you know, of course, you started out leading that charge on Korematsu Elementary, which, you know, got so much, you know, wonderful, warm, you know, support. But beyond that, you know, you started right away with that campaign. Was that the point where you decided, I want to be involved with the school district and continue this sort of work within the schools at Davis? And what did you learn from that made you want to do that?
Sure.
Wait, the one thing that's different of Madhavi Sunder is that she's brought a guest that she should.
Oh, I am so sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
Please.
Welcome, guest, and your guest is?
This is my husband, Anupam Chander, the partner with whom we can't do anything. You know,
Good.
so
You need a good partner.
Thank you for coming as well.
Thank you.
That's right.
Thanks.
Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, no,
please.
no, you're absolutely right. Go on.
Oh, well, yeah, I had the privilege 9 years ago to first get involved with our Davis schools in a hands-on way. The then school board members with Marty West and Joan Salee, Kelty Jones, Jim Provenza, BJ Klein, they put together a committee to name the newest elementary school here in Davis. And so I got named to that committee. I only had a 2-year-old, and I was pregnant with my second son, so with my son. So
very admirable.
It was an early start on really learning about our schools and the school board. And that year, Fred Korematsu, the civil rights hero who challenged the Japanese internment, he died. And that's the one rule. So Richard will remember this, right? In terms of the naming of our schools in Davis, you have to name it after somebody who's deceased. And so I proposed the name Fred Korematsu, and it was an incredible experience. It was my first campaign because I really met communities across Davis, the Sikh community, the Muslim community, the Japanese American community, the civil rights groups, all of whom came together to tell the story about Japanese Americans in Davis. And what we saw in Fred Korematsu's story, an amazing teachable moment for kids. He was an ordinary person. Many think of him as the Rosa Parks of the Asian American community. And he was an ordinary person who just said, this is wrong. And he had the courage to speak up. And today, Korematsu Elementary is a social justice school. There's 500 plus kids there, and their school song is, what can one little person do? What can one little me or you do? And it's just been great. So, you know, I'm a professor of law. I travel around the country speaking about access to knowledge and intellectual property and the promotion of learning. But I always tell friends and colleagues that one of the most meaningful things that I've ever had the privilege to be involved in was the naming of that school. And so that was kind of when my interest in the school board began to grow. But honestly, it goes way back. I was the student representative to my school board when I was in high school.
I knew it.
I was.
I have a list of all those that were on when I was on the school board. Okay, I'm following them.
So this isn't really anything new at all. In fact, all my today and over the campaign, I've been getting emails and Facebook messages and donations from kids who grew up with me from elementary school, high school, college, law school, and people who I've worked with on faculties across the country, because they see this as part of all of the work I've been doing on access to knowledge.
I think that's, you know, being a student representative probably gives you a leg up on, you know, learning a little bit more about school board. I'm not sure people really know what they're getting into when they jump in. Just the reality that, you know, you are part of a board that makes decisions together.
Yes.
And so I think that that's something that is important to learn sooner, I guess, rather than later. But that's wonderful that you participate in that way. I also, I know that you work for your law professor at UC Davis. Why do you think, or do you think that that we've had good relationships with the university in terms of sharing information to the benefit of our students? I know that one of the things you've been saying is, let's have more of a partnership there. How do you propose that happen? And do you think it's been a good one up until now?
Oh, I think that we definitely have a good relationship, and I think, though, that there's more that we can do to strengthen that relationship, to be partners, to talk about STEM education, for example. And we have faculty at UC Davis who are developing STEM programs for high schools in the state, but not necessarily talking to our own district. And we have, and that would go with a variety of programs too. We could talk about laboratory opportunities. We could talk about foreign language opportunities, and one of the things that I think is most important is we need to bring that adult to child ratio down in our schools. We need more adults. And well, we have all these college students at UC Davis. They're already mentoring in homework, after school homework programs like the Bridge program and at the Academic Center at the high school. So I really want to see how we can strengthen these relationships with the campus even further.
And as you know, one of the things we found out years ago was the university views itself as a regional entity, and it's not just the Davis University, and so they have to spread their net wider. And of course, they worked in the charter school and started the charter school in West Sacramento as part of what they do. So, but there should be a strong relationship. I certainly you're right on track with that. The best, it is a heck of a resource that we need. We're running out of time. This
I know, we're down to 2 minutes, but I also wanted to engage your spouse and guest. Was it fun? Were there things about the campaign that were, unexpected, or what were some of the highlights for you?
So we've put together a video, and just seeing this, which is available on YouTube. If you go to Sunder for School Board on YouTube, you'll see this video, and it's full of really fun moments in the campaign. Madhavi and her team made T-shirts very early on, and those T-shirts, people wore them all over. They wore them to Disneyland, and so there's a picture of two children wearing those T-shirts next to Mickey Mouse.
That's good.
So there were lots of fun moments.
You can put it in the grocery bags that I handed out years ago with the T-shirts. This is awful. They have to leave now. I know it's not, and you're winning.
And we could talk all night.
We're going to give you 20 seconds to say, hey, because it looks like you're winning. So say something about that.
Well, it's still, the night is young, and but we're encouraged, and we feel happy and optimistic. So we hope for more good news as the night goes on.
Good.
Well done, Soundbite. Thank you. Thank you both for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. This is
Appreciate your time.
This has been a lot of fun, and
so far so good.
So far so good. I think we've had a few.
I shouldn't say that. I should knock on.
A few school board candidates, and now I think what we get to do is talk to Charlie Shop, who I think is on the line.
He is the assembly candidate. So now we're moving to the state level. Our representative candidate.
Charlie Shop, are you on the line?
Yes, can you hear me?
No, I can't, but just barely because the door's open, Charlie. But we'll pretend. No, maybe somebody can crank that up a little bit in here so we can hear Charlie in here too. That'd be great. So Charlie Shop is the Republican running for the Assembly District in the state legislature that includes Davis. Now maybe I can hear Charlie. Charlie, has it been was it everything you thought it was going to be running for the Assembly this time?
Oh, yeah, sure. And it's a heavily Democratic district, but we tried to make a difference, and we'll see how the vote comes out. I'm actually in Clear Lake right now taking down my campaign signs. We're grassroots. I just finished Louisa County, so now I'm in Clear Lake.
So you're in Clear Lake. It's good to know that somebody actually goes around and takes down some of those signs, especially if they're taking down ones that belong to them. So that's good. Thank you, Charlie.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. What? How did it go when you were out there? That's a big assembly district up Lake County, as you say, Yolo County, Napa. You know, what sort of reception did you get from the voters, and did you think that you had a fair opportunity to get your message across?
Oh, sure, I had a fair opportunity to get the message across. The biggest thing is we're rebuilding the Republican Party across the state, and getting to work in this district, I got to work with the Napa County, the Sonoma County Solano Company, which has a fantastic central committee, and we're rebuilding the Yolo County Republican Party, and we're rebuilding in Lake County too. So it's all about the future.
Yeah. So do you see the Republican Party making inroads and coming back in this district?
Oh, sure. The Republican Party has had a problem for the past decade, but it's changing, and we have some solid Republicans that want to make it what it used to be, a party of ethics and honor and integrity, and that's what I'm going to continue to work for.
All right. Now, you know, here in Davis tonight, we're speaking with a lot of the school board candidates that are coming into the studio. You were on the school board in Esparto, wasn't it?
Yeah, two terms. I had to leave right just before the global war on terrorism started because I got called to Okinawa.
I'm sorry, because you got called?
Okinawa. As a military reserve officer, I got called to Okinawa, and then 9/11 happened, and I was on active duty for the next 6 years.
Oh, wow. Well, we appreciate your service. We thank you for that, for sure. Was that school board experience something that helped you in your run for the assembly, you think?
Oh, most definitely. You know, it's all about leadership and getting things done. In the Esparta School Board, on the board, we actually got a bond passed with 75% of the vote in a rural conservative district. So it shows what can be done. It's just a matter of getting that up to the state level now. So I don't know how the vote's going to come out tonight, but I do know I was the underdog, and we'll go forward, and I'll head to the convention, win or lose, come this next spring, and we'll start the work to make the Republican Party stronger.
Well, I'm sure this will not be the last that we've heard of you. And again, we appreciate your service to our country and everything you've done along those lines.
Absolutely.
And we will let you go, Charlie.
Right.
You've got a lot of other folks to talk to, I'm sure. So thank you very much, and thank you for calling in here to DCTV. Bye-bye. All right, what else? What should we do now? Let's talk to our next guest.
I don't know. I think we should.
Our next guest is Mr. Alan Fernandes, who got himself appointed to the school board and then weaseled his way into a seat
And no
then
one
doesn't have to
dared
run
to
again.
run against
I know.
you.
I mean, this guy's a power, huh? I don't know what to
Powerhouse.
make. Alan Fernandes.
I don't know. Well, thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming by. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
You were in a bit of a unique situation there, huh? With the appointment and then running for the 2-year seat, and no one else ran. But you still participated, right? Still got out there and talked to people and mixed it up, went to the forums and all that, right?
I thought it was important. I mean, you know better than most the job of being a school board member, and a good one at that. And you know, certainly I applied for the appointment, as did many, and was fortunate enough to be appointed and serve for a period of time, and then decided to run for the remainder of that position, mostly because I felt it was really what, one, the law provides when you look at the law, and two, it was a matter of openness and transparency to the public, that there's a vacancy, it's appointed, and really you're a, quote, provisional appointee to fill the remainder of the term. So I you know, filed for the remaining 2 years, and was fortunate enough, as someone has said, it's a blessing. But I treated it like a campaign at times, and participated in forums, and thought that was an important public aspect of being a member of the board.
And you paid your dues because you campaigned before that,
Sure.
you know.
Right.
And so
It's not like you never campaigned.
So,
No, that's true.
You know, I think I think that was a wonderful campaign you ran the first time around, and
Thanks.
so you know, it's kind of, it is a blessing that, you know, you don't have to go through that again, but
But now he has to do it in 2 years.
Well,
True.
If you decide to run again.
true. Yeah.
which is one of our questions.
Is it? That's at the end.
All right.
Oh,
All right. We'll get to that.
But Anna's got a lot of questions.
All right.
So I guess you're the one that we can actually talk to, besides Richard, about the actual job of being a school board member. And once the campaign's done, and we've been talking with folks here about they look relieved, and that's all over with. But what do you think is different about the actual job? Did you have notions about what it was going to be that are different now that you're doing the actual job? What's different that you thought you were going to be able to do, or better, worse, better, worse, about doing the actual job?
Well, I think it was something I feel like I was prepared for. I feel like I understood the role of a school board member, just given my professional background. And
tell us more about that.
Yeah, I am in public service, and I work for local government. And when you look at it, a school district is one arm of local government, and so there's a lot to governance, local government, that I felt like going into the job, and certainly the election, I was prepared for. Having said that, I think everyone will tell you, you always learn new things and are surprised by some, and are reminded of others, even if you didn't, really fully ponder those issues once you get into a role. And there's been some of that. I would say for the most part, though, it's been all positive. I really have enjoyed, the short term that I've been on the board so far. One of the most sort of striking differences between running a campaign and obviously serving as a board member is that a campaign is really sort of centered around one person, and you're convincing the public that you are qualified for the job and trying to earn the public's support. But once you get on the board, as Richard knows very well, it's part of a governance team of 5. You're only one vote of 5. And really, I think to do good work as a public servant and to govern, you really have to not only be aware of that difference from the campaign, but you really should embrace it and seek to earn the support of your colleagues on a particular issue that maybe you're passionate about, but also really have open ears and eyes to things that your colleagues and the administration and most importantly the public want to see happen. And so that's one thing about the job that I knew about from a sort of cerebral academic sense, but when you're in the job, you have to live it and practice it. And I enjoy it.
And so, being that you also, have a career and, lobbying and other things going on, do those skills come into play? I see these, maybe the ability to caucus, or the ability to convince someone else, about your point of view. Does a lot of it happen in front of everyone, or does it happen behind the scenes? How does that really work? Tell us.
Yeah.
I'm glad that wasn't my question.
Is this where I get to phone a friend and ask a co-host here?
Yeah, phone a friend on that one, would you? Behind the scenes?
Yeah.
Called the Brown Act?
Yeah. So, Richard's referencing the Brown Act, which is our, open meetings law that local governments and school boards are required to. So, there's something that some, I wouldn't call insiders, but some people who work in and around local government know there's these Brown Act buddies that you can talk with one other board member, but you really can't talk with another, one more, 3, a majority of the board, because
very frustrating, isn't it? I found that to be the most frustrating thing, coming from the world that all 3 of us work in, where you talk to people and try to figure out where everybody is and what they want, and then you can only talk to one person about it, and you can't talk to the other 3 until you get out there.
Yeah, frustrating, maybe one word. I also, I understand the reason for the Brown Act. I mean, it's obviously for the purposes of having the decisions made in public, and I support that. And it's just one of those things about the job that you have to really understand and work with. And, I think you'd be surprised. I think most, in fact, all of the decisions on the public calendar are made in public. And then you have closed session items, of course.
Right.
You know, those dealing with litigation or personnel matters that.
Because I think you hear a lot about people saying, "Oh, they came in like they'd already made a decision."
They don't.
And people
No.
don't really understand that. You know, you really can't. It's a lot of work. You're going to have to go to each one. Try, you know. But I think that that is how people don't understand that. You know, you can't really just grab 3 people
No.
and say, "Hey, come over here. We're gonna figure this out."
No, you work it out when you're there.
You
and,
do.
I mean,
And-
ask Gina Delighten about the time that she was my buddy on the Brown Act thing, and then we all started talking about it, and I went the other way on it. She still doesn't let me forget that.
Well, and it's true. And you know what? It actually speaks to the professionalism of our current board and our predecessors as well. The decisions, folks, do actually happen in public view. And, you know, like I said before, one of the critical jobs, I think, of a good board member is having an open mind and open ears when you're in the hearing in public and when you're about to make the decision, because you might get some information that you hadn't contemplated prior to when you were reading and reviewing the agenda.
I'd say you always do.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's probably
right?
true, yeah.
In this town, there's always somebody that comes up with a different angle on whatever the discussion is.
Yeah, no,
I think
absolutely.
we're kind of
Interesting.
bleeding into the school board. What is it? You know, what it's.
We were going to have a
what does it do?
discussion about that.
So, but just to back up a little bit more about your personal, you know, what are some of the things you care about as a school board member and want to see accomplished during your tenure?
Well, you know, I've always been I have public service as my profession, really, and it's more than a profession, it's almost a vocation for me. And I had always been involved in the community. When I had children, like many of us do, and they entered the school system, I really looked long and hard and wanted to refocus all of my community activities around the schools. And once I did that, I really, began to see that the importance of having diverse representation on a board. And by that, I mean diverse representation from parents, community members that have a range of experiences in our community. And what I thought and what I sought to achieve is really being a voice for younger parents. And you just had Madhavi before me, and I was really happy to see her candidacy because we talked a lot, she and I, about we are parents of younger children. We're going to be in this district a long time, and anyone who knows anything about government, it takes a long time to achieve your objectives. And so what getting to the answer to your question, what I sought out to do was really be a voice for parents with younger children who are going to be in the system, our educational system, for a while, and making sure that the system that we have, that we love now, stays, we maintain what's great about it, we change what can be improved about it over the course of the years that my children will be here. So, I mean, are
there particular concerns for the younger kids?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, at our one of the things I was struck to learn, really, in the course of just my involvement in campaigning, is really that our elementary schools are great, but there's wide disparities between them, and some educational offerings at one school are different than another, and I sort of began to look at our district from an equity standpoint and thought, we should focus on what we do very well in the elementary schools and see where we can replicate those things, and where we need room for improvement, see what we can do to sort of make sure that a child that goes to school at Marguerite is having the same educational experiences as a child that is going to school at Willett. And I just felt that there were some differences in that regard, and it's one of the things that I think will be important for me to continue to look at and question as we make our policy decisions. So.
And then the other thing that happens to you is your children grow up, and so then you start getting perspectives
Yes.
on, you know, the junior
Whatever
high, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden you realize
Absolutely.
the high school really is the crown jewel
Yes.
of the district.
Yeah.
As when I got on the board as an elementary school parent and was told by, you know, maybe other board members and other people that the high school is the crown jewel of the district. Well, the high school, I don't care about the high school. I'm worried about this, but you know, you do.
Oh,
and then
absolutely.
you end up growing up through it, and then
I agree, and I already kind of feel myself going in that direction already. You know, someone said once that, you know, we all end up at the high school, or the, you know, a few high school
Right.
offerings that we have in our district. So we're all going to get to the same place, and so it's not too early to start really not only paying attention, but working on some of those issues.
it also makes it a much broader experience, I think, for you personally and for the school board when you realize everything, all of that,
Yeah.
you know, all the schools that we have, the Da Vinci program, the DSIS. I mean, it's
Yeah.
amazing. King, you know,
Oh.
everything that's going on.
Oh.
It's pretty fun to work on.
It really was. If I could just add one thing, one of the, and I'm so lucky to have you and to draw on your experiences, because I'm able to really appreciate some of the things. When I got appointed, one of the first things I got to do was go to all these graduations.
Right.
And I was really exposed to really what you're talking about. And, you know, it was perfect. It gave me a sort of a new energy with, you know, the way in which I'm approaching my work on the board. But you're absolutely right. You know, I hope to one day maybe sit in that chair and
Come on over.
wax eloquent about, you know.
We might let him, huh?
Yeah.
I also do appreciate the differences between our schools as well. You know, I mean, I have two kids, they're 17 months apart, and I'm telling you, they're like night and day. You know, one of them went to Davis High and the other one went to Da Vinci, and I really appreciated the ability to have that difference. One is,
Right,
you know,
yeah.
one is a social justice, a political, I can't talk them out of it, and the other one is a egghead engineer. You know, I mean, you know, she loves how things get put together. She's on the robotics team, and so, you know, I mean, your kids aren't cookie cutter. Your school shouldn't be cookie cutter. But I hear what you say. There shouldn't be, you know, a lapse. We should have standards, you know, that everyone gets a good experience.
And the beauty of the board, back to your original
There you
point,
go.
the beauty of the board
Bring it around for
is
us.
having people with different perspectives to then come together and work as a unit on the board. So maybe you and Madhavi, whoever else gets on there with a younger child perspective, and the people that have kids going through or have already gone through.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
And
no,
you have
you're
it all
spot on.
there, and you go, oh, okay, I understand.
You're spot on,
But
yeah.
you on the graduations, going to the graduations was a big eye opener for me too, and a wonderful experience to sit through the DSIS and the King graduations, and then Da Vinci. You know, I was fortunate to be on the board when Da Vinci was just getting cranked up, and you know, I remember sitting in Matt Best's
tough times,
office
too.
in the little portable on the high school, going, now what are you guys talking about? How's that funded? What are you going to do?
Right.
Wow, that sounds like a great idea. I'm glad you're doing it. You
Right,
know?
right.
Pam Maury was doing that before she's over here. Okay, I get it. You know, and it's we're fortunate, so don't screw it up. We got a lot going on there. Okay.
I have a big. We have a big
And no
responsibility.
caucusing behind the scenes.
Well,
Yes.
you can do that
Yeah.
just with your buddy.
Just
yeah.
one.
You know, I think I'm really excited about, you know, the colleagues that will add to the board, just the diversity.
Talk
of their
about that for a second.
Yeah.
This is a watershed sort of a moment.
Yes.
We have a 3 and a 2, but this is a 3 really plus, you know, the 4th. I mean, this board is going to be completely different.
Yeah.
You know, except you now and still new, and then Susan.
Yeah, I mean, I think actually.
And we'll ask Susan that later. but
Yeah, and I think it happens at a great time. I respect all of the work that you did and my current colleagues on the board, but I also know, you know, there's been major changes, as Anna knows better than most, in education policy and funding, that and our curriculum, and it's almost sort of an appropriate time for a transition like this. Really, the rules in which we play are changing, and so it's a good opportunity for a board to change, and it's coming at a perfect time because they're all, as am I, full of energy and excitement, ready to roll up our sleeves and get to work. So it is unique, I think, to have this much of a change at a time, but I guess I would say if at any time in our recent history it's a good time for it, now is it. So that's what makes it even great.
I think it's a good time for that.
Yeah.
I also, one of the other things with school boards too, there's a little bit, you know, one of the things I read and the many things I was reading this week about school boards is, you know,
back to
you're
my
often,
my wonk thing.
Right, right.
She did
You're
a lot
often-
of homework for this show.
Yeah.
school
I have no
districts are
doubt.
often like the biggest employer in a city, you
Yes.
know, or an area. You know, there's that the employment type things that are going on, the facilities, as you know,
Absolutely.
which is,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
near and dear to my heart. You know, being able to track all of those things as well,
Absolutely.
that become, you know, a big part of what you do. I guess what was disappointing this last year was the school bond and not seeing a statewide facilities bond, which I know in this district has been kind of an issue with facilities. Are you seeing more of that? Do you think that we'll do local bonds in the future?
Well, I definitely think that our community needs to have the conversation. First and foremost, if for no other reason that I'm not so sure we're going to be able to count on state bonds like we used to. This governor has pretty much made it part of his administration that, you know, locals do what locals do. Let's let locals do that, but let's really focus on what the state does. And so there's a lot of doubt that there will be a state bond anytime soon. And so what does that mean? It means that districts like ours really need to have a sobering conversation, I think, with our community to say, well, folks, you know, it's been since, I believe, 2000 since our district has had a bond. We were able to do some things this year to, you know, refinance some of our obligations and for the purposes of making money available for facility improvements and taking care of some of the deferred maintenance. But you know, the facts are we have an aging infrastructure here in our school district, and it's something that we need to really come to terms with soon. So yeah, I want to have that conversation. In addition, all of the great work that you've done, you know, just when you served and just keeping our district together with all those cuts and then renewing our parcel tax, and you know, that's a conversation that's not too early to start talking about as well. So these things are really going to come together really soon in the next couple of years, and you know, it's one of, I think, my priorities, but I think my colleagues are sharing that priority with starting that conversation soon. But yeah, I do think that we need to talk about school bond and what our needs are, and I'll be very curious to see what happens in Woodland.
And the properties. Oh yeah,
Woodland has a.
We'll check on that.
Yeah.
On the bond, they are running a bond, a local bond for school facilities. One's
That'd
on
be
safety
nice.
and one's on facilities.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we can get those results in a few minutes, and
SMT,
we'll
right?
bring those up, the Woodland ones, just to see how they're doing as well.
I think I've got it.
You've got it too. You're the high tech. On my piece of paper,
I know,
the results haven't shown up. You know,
That would be the last thing people would say.
She's 5 minutes ahead of us.
Huh? She is.
Well, we do
She
very
knows
much.
she knows who's won. She already knows.
Right.
Yeah, she's not just absentees.
It's all up
awesome.
here.
All right,
Thank
Alan.
you so much, Alan. We really appreciate
Thanks.
your
No,
willingness
it's my
Appreciate
pleasure.
to serve.
Thank you. Thank you both for doing this tonight and all that you do for our community.
It's a lot of
Past
fun.
Service. Yeah.
A lot of fun.
Thanks.
So thanks for coming
Thank
by.
Thank
you.
you. All right.
Let's
All right,
see
so
if we
I
can
think I have
pull
to
up
do
some absentees, and maybe you can give us the
Well, I think I have to do the
top
business,
of the
the
hour.
top of the hour.
The top of the hour
Yes.
legal. Give us a shot of that. would
Okay,
you?
so thank you for tuning in to DC TV, Channel 15 in the Comcast system. you are watching live coverage of the November 4th, 2014 election. This program is simulcast live on KDRT, also affectionately known as KDIRT, 95.7 FM in Davis. You know, Davis Media Access has been serving the community for more than 25 years. I highly encourage you to support this community treasure that we have here. Other key projects include support for youth media and community media. It takes community support to make this happen, and we hope that you'll consider donating to Davis Media Access.
After tonight, their contributions are probably going to go through the floor.
Just because I'm asking.
They're going to tank. What sort of absentee do we have here? This is the local school board, and then maybe we can look at those Woodland results as well. That would be pretty fun. So you can see that Madhavi Sunder has 25.4%, followed by Barbara Archer at 20.7%, Tom Adams at 17.6%, Bob Popengay there, then Jose Granda, Mike Nolan, and Chuck Reardon. And that's it's pretty close. You know, there's so little up there, it's hard to make any sort of conjecture, so we won't. But instead, let's look at the Woodland area, and would love to see the bonds. This is, in fact, two folks that are running against each other, it looks like here. And here's the Woodland classroom repair and upgrade,
this
Measure
is
S,
this is the school facility bond, repair and upgrades of classrooms. You know, more and more, as we were talking with Alan about earlier, the state has basically said they're going to leave it to the locals to do a lot of their school construction bonding. We already did believe that we put in more than the 50% that was needed in that matching program, but now we weren't able to put a bond on the ballot this last year. I think the governor was not willing.
A state bond,
statewide school bond, correct, for facilities, and so that's unfortunate. But I think there's a sense that locals are going to have to take on more of that, and I think he's absolutely right that we're going to be having that conversation in this community.
Do you think that
really soon.
how many? Do you have any idea how many local bonds are on the ballot right now, statewide? I mean, is it a big number? Are there a lot of people out there doing that? It's a fairly
big number. This last time, I think there was it was $13 billion worth of local bonding in the last round. I didn't really check on statewide how many were running this year, but it's increasing. I mean, I really feel like locals are starting to see that it's up to them to get these bonds done.
They're going to have to. But it looks like in Woodland that effort's going down, unfortunately. Well, we'll see.
Well, we'll see.
It's early. Well, we have another guest, I think, who's joined us in the Power Central here. Mike Nolan. Mike, good to see you.
It's good to see you both.
Good to see you. Has it been everything that you thought it was going to be? You've run before.
I've run before, so I understand.
Yeah.
And looking at the results right now, it looks like I won't be on the board next year or in December. And I want to first off congratulate, I think, Madhavi and Barbara. And I think Tom is leading in third place.
Tom's leading, yeah.
But Bob too. They've all done a very good campaign. But that's generally my experience is it's a broad section of the city, and it very rarely does the precinct vote change. So
you never know. So we'll see how it all goes.
Yogi Berra here. We don't know.
But it's over.
But it is over. Wait, it's not over until it's over. It is over.
No, but the campaigning part is pretty much over. And I know that we all appreciate anyone who's willing to go out there and serve the public in this way, and it's a privilege, to be out there talking to people about what they care about. Tell us a little bit about what you heard from parents and students as you were campaigning.
Well, the best thing is of a campaign is meeting all the different people from different schools and different communities. You know that, Richard, being on the board, and you find a richness in the city of Davis that is a lot of people people forget about. But there's a wide range of income difference, and there's a wide range of racial differences here. That Davis gets a bad rap sometimes from outside of the area, saying, "Oh, it's too affluent and it's too monochrome," and that's never been my experience.
They don't know.
It always gets to the same. To see we have a vibrant community here, and you can see that also with our school district, and in this election where you had 7 candidates, and I think the other 6 candidates were all well qualified, I think, to be on the board, and I think the voters made the right choice. Well,
It's not over. It's not completely over yet.
I'm not staying up late tonight.
I agree with you. I feel like we had such a stellar group, and I know you brought some unique perspectives to the campaign. I know you were basically the person who not gave up your career, but you were the one that stayed home.
Stay-at-home dad,
right?
And
that's a huge sacrifice. I mean,
and you've done a lot of volunteers, right?
work.
The PTAs at all levels and all.
So you
that,
got involved there, and we all know that's like a job, working hard to make sure that those types of organizations run well.
The most, the proudest moment of my life in getting elected to anything was getting elected president of the PTA at Willett Elementary, and that was, and that was a fun experience, because all of a sudden, as the president, you had to make everybody work together as a team, and. It was really nice to end the meetings on time. and Richard, I saw many meetings at the school board where Richard, at about 11:30 at night, you would start to squirm in your seat.
That was all because of my mentor, Mr. Tim Taylor.
And there is a board policy that says all meetings end at 11.
Yeah, because of Tim.
Unless the board decides otherwise.
Yeah.
And if I got elected to the board, I'd say, but that should be included in the agenda to give public notice that the board would say, we're going to go beyond 11.
We're going to go beyond, yeah. Well, Tim and I think, had a pact that we would never vote to go beyond, unless, of course, it was something that either one of us wanted to talk about, and then, you had to vote for
But you never won. It always went on and on and on.
Well, that's a talent, to be able to run a very efficient meeting and get it done on time. I mean, I know we've all been in those situations where, you wish the meeting had been over, half an hour ago. You're thinking about dinner and how that all gets done. But and I think that's a real talent to make sure meetings get done on time. And you have a long history of working on a number of fronts in terms of the volunteer piece. I'm just, tell me a little.
She did her homework, Mike.
Oh my God, I'm terrible.
You got to let her throw it out there.
I appreciate, not only, I appreciate site council and all of that, parent advisory committee, but the climate committees are also very much interest. What, do you see things getting better in the district? And
the thing that we have to remember about the climate committees is that the schools are like a river. There's a continuous people moving through it, not just students but parents, and so you can have a great climate committee and you can address all the issues of bullying and harassment and discrimination, and then in a couple of years they've all left, and you have to bring in new people and hope that they continue to have the same commitment. But things change. You have a different people, different needs. So it's a constant problem. That's all I'm saying, is that the climate committees are very important, because it's a continuing issue in this school and in all schools, in society as a whole.
Yeah. I love that. That's a good quote, though, that the school district's like a river. It is, and it's everybody moving through. I always felt that about testing, too. When we compare the 4th grade test this year to the 4th grade test last year, or the 4th grade test 2 or 3 years before. Whole different set of students, probably a lot of different teachers, supposedly the same curriculum, but then we're comparing that 4th grade to the 4th grades. It's a weird thing, right?
It's
oh, they did better. Well, it's not the same people.
It's not the same.
It doesn't matter.
And so, yeah, it's this like a prism or a kaleidoscope. It's constantly changing, and there's good parts and bad parts with that. The good parts is it keeps the school system fresh. The bad parts, as we just said, is that once you think you've got a problem solved, once you make that decision, you don't, because there's going to be
something else.
It's coming down the road. There's going to be other issues, or that same issue will pop up. My dad taught government at Cal Poly. And he did a lot of education, teaching about education. And he saved some of his books. I mean, I saved them. I've got them. And my favorite is this title that says, "Our Schools in Crisis," about the terrible state of the public school system and how it's going to lead to complete disaster.
Yeah.
And it was published
when was written?
in 1959.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And if you read the table of contents, it's the same issues we're talking about now.
Yeah.
What are we going to do with the gifted students?
Yeah.
How we're shortchanging these students. What about the Brown versus Board of Education and
Right.
integrating schools? How are we going to deal with all these different communities and schools? And that was,
as you say,
almost
it's
a
the
lifetime.
river. It moves on. As does this show.
That's
Okay, my segue.
So,
we
definitely appreciate, your time and energy. I'm assuming that you'll continue if you don't
I have a 9th grader. I've got 4 years left of
to serve,
of,
'cause
high school
we
work.
need you too.
you get to go through high school again. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. Yes.
So I was trying to tell Alan is that he's in elementary school and he's going to graduate to junior high, and then he gets to
go
go to high
along
school.
with them.
Your perspective changes.
Yes, you don't understand the school district until you get to high school graduation.
Right.
You hear the graduation speeches. But that puts the cap on the whole process.
The magnitude of it
Exactly
too.
right. Yes. Thanks a lot, Mike.
All
Thank you.
right.
for coming.
Thank you very
All right.
much.
Well, Anna, what are we going to do now? I think maybe talk about some of the statewide races
Okay.
and statewide propositions and hear your analysis of,
My analysis of the
all of them. I think that would be a good idea.
Well, let's look at the results.
That's
so
the
far,
easiest.
we have
Prop one?
Proposition 1, which is the water bond. This was the bond, basically, we had one done earlier, and now there was a lot of discussion this year about passing this bond and making sure that it was tightened up in a way that we needed it to be. A lot of people in Davis kind of active on this water bond.
A lot of people in Davis worked for a variety of interests on Proposition 1. I think it became very bipartisan, bicameral. Bye-bye. So,
Bye-bye.
yeah,
So
that
it
one,
looks like it's doing very well.
That one looks good. Proposition 2, the governor tied the two of those together. That's they call it budget stabilization or the rainy day fund.
Right.
The
Not
governor
to be confused with water.
Water, right, but it was coupled with it to show
Right.
that we needed a rainy day fund to
Right.
take care of those times when it wasn't raining, if you will,
But there
money
were
or water.
school district concerns about what was in there.
There are some tweaks to it that, in one person's view, probably should have happened. But that looks like that's passing
Right.
handily too. That
Very
essentially
strong.
was the governor's campaign. Proposition 45. This is the one that gives the politician all of the all of the power to set your health care rates. If you listen to some of the ads, or it's the as it has been characterized, this will allow the insurance commissioner to protect consumers and set health care insurance rates. And it looks like it is going down to defeat. We don't know how many, if this is all absentees or where they're from. And as we found out in the June primary, some of these things
Still
can
a
come
ways.
right down to
Right.
the wire. Ask Speaker Perez about that. Proposition 46 is the testing of doctors, which is really had nothing to do with any of that.
Raises
It's
the
about
cap on
micro, which is negligent lawsuits.
Right.
This is put on the ballot by the trial bar we maybe ought to do drug testing of the trial bar for putting on something that is going down to so much defeat. But of course, there were, I think the official term was gazillions of dollars spent in this race on both sides, but it looks like it's going down to defeat a lot. Proposition 47, interesting on the criminal sentences and
misdemeanor.
Reducing time people are going to spend in jail.
Right.
And with all of the decentralization and you know, overcrowding and the cost and who do we put in jail and why.
Looks like people are concerned about.
Yeah, I think they are, and interesting that that's passing by so much. Don't you think? This one, you know, yes for no, no for yes, yes for yes. I mean, this is very interesting. The people that put this on the ballot did not want the casino, but they write it in a way to make sure that if you vote yes, that casino gets built out there in off of Highway 99, and if you vote no, it doesn't. So the opponents of the casino, who happen to be people that have their own casinos, it looks like they're winning that one.
I'm glad you knew so much about that. I just know it was supported by the governor and other folks too.
That's all I know about it is what I just, the way I disparaged it right then. Yeah, it's the best I could do. Proposition 49, there is no such thing, but there will be in the future. You know, this has been a lot of fun here tonight, talking about the school board races, and of course talking about some of those other statewide. There are a lot of other assembly district races going on up and down the state, Senate races. Sacramento County's got a couple of very highly charged races. Dr. Pan, who's in the assembly now, is running against Roger Dickinson, who's also in the assembly. They're running for that Senate seat. It'll be interesting to see
Can we
shortly.
see the SPI race?
And here we can look at our own assembly district, which is Mr. Dodd. Looks like he's winning that handily. Bill Dodd is the Napa County Supervisor.
We should be talking to him later.
And we're going to have him on the telephone later on, and that'll be great. I think people will enjoy Mr. Dodd and his representation of Davis. There's another race in Sacramento County as well, the race between Jim Cooper and Darrell Fong. I think that's a highly contested race, and we'll get some results on that one too and see how they're doing in that. And SBI, you mentioned the Superintendent of Public Instruction.
I don't know if this is current, but it looks very close.
What do you have there in a number?
52.7% for Tom Torlakson and 47.3% for Marshall Tuck.
About how many precincts do we have on that?
Let's see.
Not that many, probably.
11% of precincts reporting.
Pretty much absentee. So it looks like the sitting superintendent, Mr. Torlakson, who was just in Davis the other day, it looks like Tom's ahead on that one, huh?
Oh, there it is.
And I think there it is up on the screen.
Lots
You can also see the governor there, Edmund G. Jerry Brown Jr. is beating Mr. Kashkari. I can't read the numbers.
That's I have on my computer 54.7% to 45.3%, which is closer than I thought it would be.
They were hoping that Kashkari could get to 40%. If he stayed at 45%, that'd probably be seen as a bit of a moral victory for him, if there is such a thing. That said, the governor didn't try. So, you know, the governor was doing other things.
And just going back to that SPI race, I think there's just been some interesting, you know, opposition. I guess the adversarial parties,
the IEs, the independent expenditure campaigns. Right.
It's been an interesting to see who's been putting money in each of those races, and we'll see. It's coming. You know, they were expecting it to go down to the wire. It's Tom Torlakson's right now, but it looks. It could
be very, very close. On these statewide races like we saw in June, it was very interesting where the race for controller came down literally to a recount because it was so close. So talk about your every vote counts, you know. That was the case there. And that may happen by the end of the night. It's still really early. But it's not too early to introduce and to talk to another one of our school board candidates. And I think we have Bob Popengay here.
Correct.
And a special guest.
And he brought a special guest who I think maybe, Bob, you could introduce for us?
Well, this is my youngest daughter, Zoe Popengay.
Hi.
Hi, Zoe.
Hi. You ever been on television before?
No, this is my first time.
Really?
You're doing
All right,
great.
So, you know,
you.
we're kind of important because we're on TV. You know. It's our first
Yes.
time on TV.
Yes, we're very important.
Thank you for coming. Thank you. It's for coming with your dad, and thank you for coming by.
My pleasure.
It's a lot of fun
So,
we get to do this. Please.
This is, you know, we're very informal here. So, you know, and let's face it, you've done your job, campaign's done. Now we just wait and see, you know, what comes in. So how do you feel at this point about the campaign and how it went for you?
Well, I actually feel very good. You know, it's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of time. You know, it's interesting that you think back, you just amazed that this evening actually arrives because
we are.
you start, you know, maybe 8, 9, 10 months ago.
Right.
So I think it's gone well, and I'm proud of the campaign that we were able to put together.
That's good.
I know I've been saying this to almost every candidate who's come in. You know, it just seems like we had such a stellar group who were, you know, willing to serve, each bringing a little bit of a different perspective, and yours really different. You know, you're a veterinary medicine professor at UC Davis, and I don't want to talk about, you know, treating kids like, you know, like like veterinary, like we need to. But what do you think?
We're having fun.
We're having fun at this. We're getting punchy. But what do you think? You know, what I see with UC Davis has been, you know, opportunities that we can have for collaboration with the university. But I just love to hear your perspective on whether that's feasible and how it might happen. I mean, it seems like we know that we have various programs that we, you know, work with them and volunteers and other things. But is there more we could be doing?
Well, I think there's actually quite a bit more that we could be doing. You know, we've got a world-class university right in our backyard, 35,000 undergraduate, graduate students, so it's a big university, tremendous faculty resources and even staff resources. And, you know, I think the school district is very important to the university. It's why a lot of faculty actually wind up in Davis because of the reputation of the schools. So, you know, I think there are some partnerships that have been, you know, established, but I sort of look at it more strategically. And a lot of the partnerships, I think, are dependent upon individuals. So when those individuals retire or move on, those partnerships tend to fall apart. So I'd like to have a more sustainable interaction. And I think it could help really all of our students. You know, one of my thoughts is that they have very comprehensive summer programs for public education kids, you know, K through 12. Not K, but at least the younger kids in junior high and high school. They have a great summer program. They have things like robotics and theater, and Zoe has taken advantage of some of those, but there are a lot of kids that either don't know about the programs or can't afford the programs, and I think it'd be great to get those at-risk kids more involved and come up with some ways that they could participate over the summer. And I think that would serve a couple of purposes. It would get them on campus, and so they could maybe experience something they've not experienced before and maybe look at some possibilities. But it also would allow them to maybe not fall as far behind during the summer as a lot of those kids actually wind up falling behind, because they just haven't had those added enrichment experiences.
Yeah, those university camps are very important, can be a lot of fun. Zoe, what was the most fun you had helping your dad run for office?
I think I kind of enjoyed walking through the neighborhood sometimes.
Door to door with the asking people,
Normally I just stuck the papers on the doorknobs, but sometimes I went with my dad and he knocked on the doors. Yeah, I think that was kind of interesting and a little exciting sometimes.
Yeah, it's good.
You never know what you're going to get.
So you got a new precinct walker.
There you
That's
go.
right. Well, I think it was great to have her walk with me because it really sort of opened up the conversation with the people that you're knocking on the door
Sure.
with. And
I made my kids walk. It's a good idea.
it's good exercise.
And we're
That's
such
a good
a
thing.
we're such a student-oriented town. You know, one of the things that struck me while you were talking was just, you know, I remember with UCD is just, you know, as the kids get older, having those things, you know, the summer programs as well, because it seems like there's a lot going on when they're younger during the summer camps and things, but then you hit kind of a point where you know, it's harder to find those summer programs that work for the older kids, and so that'd be an interesting place to go as well, I think, with the university. But you know,
Well, I think there's a lot of opportunities in a lot of different areas,
Yeah.
and you know, some of the kids that are a little bit further advanced, there might be some opportunities to,
Sure.
you know, take computer science or robotics. They do have some of those classes available. So I think really the sky's the limit, and I think it's trying to establish, you know, a good dialogue between the district and the university, and just keep up the conversation, see where we could collaborate.
So it looks like it's pretty close, but you're certainly right up there and into it. So any sort of thoughts on kind of the horse race of it or the political part of that? I know. Any other thoughts as you sit here now? It's all over, and it's, you know, I mean, you're hoping for the best, obviously.
Sure.
But
Well, you know, I sort of approach it a little bit philosophically as well. I mean, I think the important thing for me was to, you know, really put in the effort and to get out there and talk to folks and, you know, run a good campaign. And I'm very proud about what we were able to accomplish in a relatively short period of time. So obviously I would like to win, you know, but I am proud of what we were able to
yeah,
do.
you ran a good campaign. It seemed like it. You got your messaging out, and you ran hard. That was good.
Right.
And it wasn't easy, huh?
Well, there's a lot of a neophyte getting into a campaign. There's a lot of things you learn on the fly.
Yeah.
And you know, I think you don't realize how many moving parts there are to a
Yeah.
campaign. So you know, trying to coordinate that and you know,
What
keep
did-
everything going is a challenge.
right. What did you hear from the people, from parents, about what they'd like to see going forward?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, you know, being a veterinarian and thinking of the animal, you know,
I didn't say
approach. You know, it's sort of like herding cats. I mean,
Right.
you talk
Yeah,
to
no.
parents, and
true.
they have so many
So
different.
true, right?
It's a
approach-
perfect analogy from you. I love that. That's
yeah.
right. Yeah.
You know, they all have issues that they're passionate about, and it's rare to find, you know, sort of a congruence of those issues. So
Right.
they're,
No, very true.
and so it was very fascinating to find out all the different issues that people are interested in, and it was, you know, it ranged all the way from very important things like teacher retention and trying to close the achievement gap to, you know, having the football field lights on at 1
Yeah.
a.m. and affecting the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Or having school lunch or breakfasts that are still too high in sugar. So, I mean, it just,
Yeah.
you know, was the whole gamut of different issues that were brought up. But that was part of the fun, too.
And not everybody
agree.
realizes that school board may not have the ability to influence all those things, but it's always interesting to hear people's perspectives on
Right.
all of it.
Well, I think the thing of a school board member, too, is you have a lot of really issues that you need to deal with immediately that require attention, but you
Right.
also have to be thinking 10, 15, 20 years out, because some of the decisions that you're making, you know, have that impact for that length of time, potential impact. So I think you've got to be a multitasker to be a school board member.
And the other, if I just can interject a little bit, a thing that I did not think about that much when I was running, but which really came home and really hit me, was the responsibility you have dealing with suspensions and expulsions. And if you get on the board, you'll see what I mean. I mean, it's pretty incredible sort of, you know, changing and affecting these students' lives on a one by one
Right.
basis, and it's a pretty heavy responsibility.
Right.
And you find that it really weighs on you. It did on me, and
Really?
I think on everybody it really does, and it's,
Right.
it's not a lot of what you talk about when you're out on the campaign trail.
Right. Well, one thing that I'm a very strong proponent of is restorative justice. And I think we hopefully will be moving beyond just merely suspensions, because I don't think that does anybody any good. I think the whole idea of restorative justice has the potential for maybe helping to mitigate some of the issues that school boards have had to deal with in the past in terms of suspensions. And so I think there's a lot of promise in that.
Yeah, that's good. Good. What's the overall overarching thing that you've taken away from this campaign? When you mentioned some of it, but just we got to wrap up a bit. What do you want to leave with? I mean,
Well,
you're still in the hunt here, so.
Well, I mean, Davis.
We've asked everybody too. If you don't win, are you going to run again? We've asked everybody that.
I would I'd have to think long and hard about that.
It's hard to say right now.
Yeah, this is probably not the time to answer.
Right.
It's been a great experience, and this is a community that has so many resources, and it really is an education community. And I think if we could somehow, approach our schools more as a community, I think that we could, deal with some of the problems that or challenges that we're facing. So I think that's it. It's just, a tremendously involved community, and I think that we can get it right in public education.
That's a good ending soundbite right there. That's great.
Sounds good to me.
Thanks a lot for coming in. Thank you. Not all television is this crazy and disorganized
your
and
willingness
informal.
to serve.
But thank you for helping your dad. That's really what it's all about too. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Anna, why don't we turn to some more results? Maybe the Secretary of State race. There we go. We have it up here. This is interesting. 59. Well, Alex Padilla seems to be doing quite well. 59 to 40.9. So basically 60-40. I think there were some people that thought that might be a lot closer, but this is Yolo County returns only. So that's interesting. So Alex is doing pretty well here in Yolo County. Got to remember that that's just what we're looking at. And I think they were going to give us, there we go, the 3rd District congressional race. That is not a surprise in Yolo County at all. And Mr. Garamendi, and that's sort of I'm not going to call it a toss-up district because it really isn't. He's done a great job, and this is a Democratic district. Looks like Yolo County understands that and agrees with that analysis, I guess, at 65% almost. So congratulations there so far to John Garamendi on that. We have other results that you want to throw up onto the screen that we can look at. If you do, feel free.
Let's see, what else do we have here?
Well, in a few minutes we'll talk to some other candidates. That's for sure. I wonder if do you have any of those Sacramento races on your screen? I wonder if they have any back there. It'd be interesting. There's a lot of people that work in Sacramento and have been working on those campaigns, and maybe we'll get to those in a few minutes after we talk to our next guest, who, by the way, is here.
I almost had it. Okay.
Well, good. Hang on to it. Barbara Archer's here.
Good evening. How are you?
Well, we're good. We're here. We're
helps to talk to people you know.
We're having fun. Yeah, we know it. Actually, this has been great. It's been it's been a lot of fun. We're just trying to keep it going and trying to keep to our script and do what we need to do. But it's good to see you. It looks like you're in 2nd place. You must be feeling good about it. Huh?
Yeah. For now, I'm so pleased that it's looking good. The last time I looked, before my drive over here, it was only 6 precincts reporting. So I'm not sure if we have new news.
I think it was 11. Yeah. I think we saw 11 this last time.
I don't know if it was 11 precincts or if it was
11%.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
I feel great about the campaign we ran. I thought it was 100% positive. We executed on everything we intended to do. We talked with a lot of voters, and so I couldn't be more proud of my campaign team. And I love the process. I had such a great time.
And you still look like you have so much energy left.
Naps are important.
Naps are important.
Yes.
Thank you. I agree with that. I'm a big nap guy.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I have a lot of energy, and I really thought, boy, with this process, I might have met my match, because it is pretty, pretty intense. But no, I feel great, and I
Pretty much everyone
it's a good
said that,
sign
yeah.
that I'm, happy and ready to go.
So you've been involved in the issue campaigns. You've never been a candidate before.
That's correct,
And
yeah.
somebody said to me the other day, how come Barbara Archer never ran for anything before?
Well, I guess, I was busy raising my kids and working. Richard can relate. I was blessed with twins and had an older child too.
Oh boy.
So 3 under 3, and that took a long time to work that out. Now the kids are older. My older son is a sophomore in high school now. He's 15, and the twins are 12. And
That's a busy time too.
It's a busy time too, and I'm really happy that my job allows me to be flexible and be there for them, when I need to. And I'm home a lot of afternoons.
That's good.
To have a
That
little
is nice.
have a little chat with the kids.
And you were volunteering as well, so there's all of.
Well, she's
all of
always
that.
been a big time volunteer.
Yeah, well, it's funny because my family will probably not see too much difference. I mean, obviously the
Right.
school board is a pretty big deal. But if I'm elected, I've been out to meetings for years.
Right.
It's just another one of Mom's things. So my family really supports my volunteer work. I hope it's setting a really great example for my children.
Right.
And I love doing it. I mean, I'm compelled to do it. What I get out of it, is really, the service is a gift to me because it makes me feel great to help.
We all know that story.
Yeah.
I think, we were talking about, with each of the candidates about their unique skill sets that they're bringing in their campaigns. And I talking about volunteering versus, campaigning. I mean, your background in public relations, I think, helps because you're able to focus your messages and be able to say, this is what I'm about. Figuring that out and being able to do that is a talent, and I think that that's part of what makes someone who campaigns well. And your first time, pretty amazing, that you were able to get out there and talk about issues that you honed in on. And what did you hear back from parents about what they cared about?
Boy, I heard quite a lot. I heard from parents on many issues. I heard from them on the sleep issue, which came up this year.
Right.
I heard from them on...
That's the issue where we start school later so that kids can sleep because of the study about brain
the
function
circadian
and
rhythm changes in teenagers, and
right.
so they need more sleep anyway. But then they have to the melatonin levels don't allow them to fall asleep as earlier as they did when they were younger. So a lot of people were talking about that.
Of course, my dad would say, really?
Right.
You need to get, really, we need to let you sleep in. But,
I'm sure.
It's just an interesting issue.
It's an issue that, we will look at and see if it works for DJUSD. And
it was brought up before. It has been brought up many times before, and wait for the pushback from athletics. That's just all I would
Sure,
say.
of course.
Yeah.
Because that's it. There's not enough time in the day for all of us to have our kids do everything we want them to do or they want to do.
Especially about now where the time changes and you're going later.
The time changes and athletics all of a sudden got squeezed.
Right.
And,
the parcel tax is a big issue.
Yep.
I think.
Which you played a role in the one in
Right. I co-chaired the 2012 Measure C campaign.
Right.
And that was a great experience for me. I really got to know our budget. I really, I talked with hundreds of voters. I wrote a lot of op-eds for the paper, so I had to do a lot of research on school finance. And, parents are, really wondering, well, do we still need this? Absolutely, we do. And we need to really message, as talk about messaging, we really need to message our community appropriately, starting now, really. If everyone who goes to a concert at the Brunel Concert Hall, grandparents, parents, imagine that stage empty, or everyone who goes to a 6th grade science fair, or everyone who goes to a library night. Imagine those places empty, and that's why the parcel tax is important. And I think people do understand that. I mean, this is an education town. People put a huge value on what we're able to provide to our students, and I think that the economy and how many taxes we had to run, we're having a little fatigue, but I think we can message it appropriately and really re-educate the community on what we're able to do with their help.
Well, and I think the property issue was interesting. The questions about whether or not, we're looking for funding wherever we can get it, and at the same time, you have valuable properties that, people can make good arguments for keeping or selling. We also see facilities as an issue, and that's a separate pot of money that may require local bonding. I mean, it's a lot of different things that I think the school board's going to be dealing with. Good
School
luck.
Finance is so complex.
Right?
You really have
Right.
to know your stuff,
Right.
and we're going to have to ask a lot of questions
Which
in
is why
this
that's-
process.
yeah.
And what I have seen over this campaign is, I think whoever gets elected, accountability is going to be a big issue,
Yes.
and everyone is going to ask the questions that need to be asked. So we're informed and the community is informed. I think we're going to see a lot of in-depth discussion about these issues, so we know exactly the choices we're making, because the current school board, I mean, they had to do such a difficult job, and Richard was part of this, keeping us afloat during incredibly difficult times.
Right.
And so now we're in better times, and we have a little bit of money, but we have to be cautious, and we have to really examine, what our priorities are going to be. And it really behooves us to ask a lot of questions and really make the best choices we can, for the entire school district.
Yep.
We had the conversation about how school boards really are, they work together to make decisions. It's more of a valuable skill to be able to convince your fellow school board members about one thing or another, because you really are kind of a team going forward when you make these decisions, which, I think is on issues like that is very important, because people are watching to see that you've taken the time to examine all of these things and that everyone has had their say, so that once the decision is made, you can go forward and say, yes, this is, we deliberated and it's done. So
yeah, I'm really confident that the board will be able to build consensus, and will be respectful of one another, and we'll be able, to really talk together. And we might not always agree with each other on everything, but to come to consensus and make good decisions. We already, I think, have a leg up. We were all present at a Yolo County Board of Education, the Yolo County Office of Education. So you want to be a school board member. We talked about ethics. We talked about governance teams. What it takes to be a good governance team. That's so critical. And I know that the new board plans to have a retreat as well to talk about priorities and issues. And so I think we really want to be a functional body for a functional school district.
Yeah. That's great. It's important. Very, very.
well, Madhavi knows how to make those team T-shirts.
Yeah,
put them all together and be. be Team Davis School Board.
There you
no,
go.
I think that's what people, that is it. You're going to have to work together to make really tough decisions in the next few years. So we look forward to seeing how you do that, but I think you're off to a great start.
Oh, thank you so much.
Hey, we still have a little bit of time. I want to know, what was the biggest surprise to you? Because you have done the other campaigns, and we worked together on parcel taxes and all that. But as a candidate, what was just kind of the overall biggest surprise to you?
Well, I guess two things. I was just so energized and happy throughout this campaign. I mean, I just thought, boy, I guess you're doing the right thing, because I really, really loved talking to people and hearing their stories. And the other side of that was I was a little bit surprised how, a lot of folks out there really were yearning for a culture shift within the district. They really want it to be more customer service oriented. They don't want, a culture where, we have to pitch a fit or file a lawsuit, to hear people. And so I think that's something that, we'll want to work on too, is what are the things that we can put in place so our community really feels that their concerns are heard.
Yeah.
And that you have their trust. The transparency piece, I think, is just huge.
Yep. I agree.
And I know that I think folks are looking forward to seeing a new set of folks. Not that, that it wasn't terrific. I think that, they really did lead us through some tough times.
They
with
sure did. I have the
collecting
utmost
money in
respect
boots and all the things that we did. And I think that, moving forward, we need visionaries and moving forward in transparency and accountability.
I agree with you.
Good.
Well, thank you, Barbara.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's been.
I can't believe how raring to go she's still.
I know, I'm pretty awake tonight.
She's walking out there and taking a nap.
Yeah. No, I took it already today. So
Okay.
no. Very energized.
Good.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
All right,
so
thank
much.
you.
See you later.
Okay.
Well, what are we going to do now, Anna? We've got some other races. You have that race you were going to pull up there.
Well, I don't know. I keep having trouble with this.
We've got Secretary of State ready to come up, maybe, and then take another look at the congressional. This is Secretary of State. Is this just our county, or this is all counties? It looks like it is. Oh, good. This is statewide. And you'll see here, it's on the screen.
I can't read that.
Somebody will see it. There we go. I can't actually read that, to tell you the truth. This is, but the people at home can see that Pete Peterson is now leading in this race.
Oh, there we go. Look, 50.3% for Pete Peterson and 49.7% for Alex Padilla. So that's tight.
Pretty
and
good.
then the other one is.
And that's statewide.
Yes, that is statewide.
There you go. What about this congressional race here? The John Garamendi race, and there we had a Dave Jones. Okay, we'll go to that. Oh, this is the Doris Matsui. There's John Garamendi, still just Yolo County, and with the same one that we had. Be interesting to see how he's doing in those other counties spread around the district.
SPI?
I'm just looking at what they're looking at on the screen, which is the Dave Jones winning that one pretty handily. That's not a surprise. It's not a surprise that all the Democrats should be leading and probably will win most of the races on the ballot.
That's county results, right?
Yeah, that's all the counties. That's more than just Yolo County. And there you've got the governor, Jerry Brown, beating Neil Kashkari again, 57% to 43%.
So statewide, if we look, maybe if you go to the SOS, the Secretary of State website, but what I've got here is Dave Jones 51.9, Ted Gaines 48.1 on the insurance commissioner.
They just had that one up there. Maybe you've got another one. Why don't
well, this is statewide.
Right,
I don't know.
That was statewide too.
Okay. Oh, well.
Why don't you give us treasurer?
Let's see, treasurer.
That's not going to be.
Attorney General. Oh.
All of those will be, I think, probably not very close.
55.7 for John Chang, and 44.3 for Greg Conlon.
There you go.
Statewide.
And then pretty soon we're going to have Bill Dodd actually on the telephone with us. I wonder how the Bill Dodd race is coming. Still,
Do we have that? No.
We had that a
Okay.
little while ago, but we just have the Yolo County race results.
Lieutenant Governor, should we look at that?
Yeah, that'll be pretty funny.
Gavin Newsom, 53.9%.
That's all.
Ron Naring, 46.1, with 18.7%
It might be interesting that
of
by
precincts.
by the end of the night, it might be interesting that this low turnout that they're talking about, the lowest turnout in a generation.
Yeah, we'll see if that's
might have an impact, huh? I mean, in a race like that, Gavin Newsom with all the name ID and money and
right.
Running against someone who's really just a political party person for that lieutenant governor. Or maybe people don't care about the lieutenant governor, and regardless of who it is. Could be that too. What are the other ones that you have here in the statewide?
It's still pretty much the same with Jerry Brown and Neil Kashkari. Brown with 56.8%. This is with 18% of the precincts.
What about that one?
Let's look at SPI.
SPI.
Which is 18.7% of precincts. Tom Torlakson, 54.2%. Marshall Tuck, 45.8%, and that's statewide. So.
Well, why don't we see if we have Bill Dodd on the telephone and we can talk to him. Bill, are you on the telephone with us?
I'm right here with you. Thank you very much for calling.
Well, there you go. And we can hear you, so we like that. Welcome to Davis, at least that way. It's Richard Harris and Ana Ferreira here. So,
fantastic. Good to hear your voice.
Yeah, nice to hear yours, too. Well, the campaign is over, and let the governing begin, huh?
Oh, that's for sure. This has been a long 16 months, and I can tell you, I learned more in the primary running against Dan and Joe than I did this last 3 or 4 months. But I'm just glad to have this over with and get up there and get to work and represent the entire district. But I'll tell you, I really appreciated how Davis has come out for me during this campaign.
What were you hearing from our folks here in Davis? Are the issues different from the ones in Napa, or do you see them being similar?
No, I really see them being similar. I mean, one of the things about Davis is I really, out of all the cities that I represent, this is not to be critical of any of the other cities, but politically, there's no more engaged community than the city of Davis that I've ever witnessed. And it's really been a pleasure to, the issues are the same, but there's more people interested and engaged in those issues.
Well, it is certainly an engaged community, and I'm glad you appreciate it now. Maybe we'll check back with you in about 6 months and see how much you appreciate it.
He's not being sarcastic.
Sorry.
Well, I would like to do that.
I've lived here a long time, Bill. I get to take shots at ourselves,
Well, and we certainly appreciate, it was a wild and crazy race, and we're
the primary especially.
Exactly. We're used to being on top here in Davis, and so it's good to have to hear that you have listened to our concerns and will continue to do so, because you'll hear from us for sure. I know you.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I know you spent some time on the Transportation Commission, and you bring a wealth of experience on water as well. And I know that's some issues that we're struggling with locally, water rates and things. So we look forward to you bringing those issues and your experience in those issues here, and looking at our concerns as well.
Well, I look forward to that, and I'm going to just take a plug, and this may be, I don't know. I just have really felt like the guys that I really ran in this campaign against. This is nothing against Charlie Shout, but I do kind of want to do a shout out for Dan Bloke and Joe Cravoza we had a great, primary campaign on really significant issues. I learned a lot from those guys on a myriad of issues, and I really am intent on on having the city of Davis and the county of Yolo saying, hey, you know what, this guy from Napa can represent us, equally, and that's my goal.
Well, it's a good goal, and knowing both the mayor and the former mayor, I'm sure you're going to hear from both of them regularly. And just because that June primary has passed, those guys are still both pretty engaged, and you can.
Oh yeah,
they're a good resource.
Yeah,
for
good
sure.
resource, and lean on.
They're great resources, and look at for them to come out and support me and engage in my campaign here. Just I think says a lot. They're both classy guys, and I've enjoyed working with them, and I'll continue to work with them.
Now, Bill, you were a Napa County supervisor for a long time, and you're going to bring that local government perspective into the legislature, and it's going to be a legislature that has a lot of turnover. How do you see all that coming out, and what do you see your role in the new legislature?
It's really interesting as I look at the new legislators coming in. A lot of them are younger. People that have been on a school board, which is, admirable. And but I look at myself as somebody that comes in with substantially more experience. And, hopefully I can, I kind of look at Jerry Brown and look at him being the adult supervision in the room for the last term that he's been on. I've really admired. I don't admire the bullet train. I don't admire the tunnels, but many other things that he has done there, I think, has been really good for the state of California. And I hope I can bring that, and also the ability to work together with others to get things done.
I guess the earthquake has just been a little bit more on the minds of the folks in Napa. I know, I don't know if that's something that you're looking at going forward, but I know when you look at infrastructure and all of those things, something like that hits and you realize, things like the Bay Bridge and other things that, related to infrastructure, I'm sure you know more than others right now how impactful that is. And I think those kinds of things, along with the fact that we have a university right here in Davis, I think there's things that I'm sure will come to the forefront as you work through what your agenda is going to be in the next few years.
Well, I appreciate you bringing up the earthquake, because that's been something that's been heavily on our minds. We've been really working overtime, and our congressman here, I know Congressman Garamendi is your congressman there, but over here on this side, it's Thompson and Senator Boxer and Senator Feinstein have both been here, and we finally got individual assistance for our low-income people that have had houses fall off the foundation, that have had fireplaces and chimneys collapse, and these people are living paycheck to paycheck, and it was something that really took a long time to get, but we're really pleased that they're going to get the assistance they need. So that's been something that we've had that. I've had that experience in floods. I've had that experience in devastating fires, but never in the earthquake. I think there's some things that we can do to shore up our, the service that we can provide citizens in that area.
Well, leadership is defined by crisis a lot of times, Bill, and you've shown a lot of it here in this, in the response to the earthquake, and I know of your work in the flood control, so we appreciate all that. Let's hope we don't have the major crisis going forward, but just as one Davis resident, I will thank you for whatever you would do in the future if that should happen, because I know you'll be right out front and doing the good work. We're going to let you go, Bill. We know you got a lot of other people to talk to and places to be. For the people of Davis and the Yolo County folks watching us, we want to congratulate you on what looks like a victory, and look forward to working with you in the future. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much.
I want to give a shout out. I'm not going to name any names, but there's quite a few people from Davis that came over here for this victory celebration, and it's very much appreciated. Thank you.
That's great.
Both very, very much.
Yeah, you do realize, Bill, that they came over there because you're in Napa, and there were some other reasons that they might have wanted to go there instead of being here tonight with us. But that's okay.
Richard, you're going to have your time too, okay?
Yeah. No,
we like wine.
Anna and I like wine. We'll put you on
All right,
the
well, I
calendar.
look forward to seeing both of you over here.
All right.
care.
Thanks a lot,
Thanks,
Bill. Good luck. Yeah. That's yeah. You wonder why
we have to go
everybody.
over there
That's where they all are,
support
right?
them in Napa.
Fine.
Okay.
Is it top of the hour?
It's top of the hour, so I get to tell you again, thank you for tuning in. DC TV, channel 15 on the Comcast system. You are watching live coverage of the November 4th, 2014 election. This program is simulcast live on KDRT, affectionately known as KDIRT, 95.7 FM in Davis.
KDIRT.
The number to call if you have a question is 757-2419, and we haven't gotten any calls yet, but we'd love to hear from you. The Davis Media Access's Twitter feed, we're into Twitter now, is DMA feed, at DMA feed, one word.
Is somebody tweeting all of this out?
I think
it could be. What do I know?
I think they were tweeting.
They made me turn off my phone, so
they were tweeting.
I have no idea.
And Davis Media Access, if you didn't know, also has a Facebook page. So if you are interested in hearing more about what's going on here, this wonderful community treasure, please like them on Facebook.
There you go. And don't forget to contribute. That was the Ana Ferreira.
There you go.
Don't forget to contribute.
Don't forget
We
to
have another guest in our studio today, and another school board candidate, one of thousands.
Welcome.
Mr. Tom Adams. Hi, Tom.
Hi, how are you tonight?
We're doing good. We're having a lot of fun. It's, you know, maybe, you know, it's community television. We're doing what we can do. Hey, it looks like you're in third place, or it was the last time we checked. I don't know if anything's changed. Have you seen anything different out there?
No, not since the initial results, but I feel pretty good about that.
All right.
I just feel I need my own Madison Bumgarner to come and close down the show for me.
There you go.
Right, that is.
Go Giants.
You don't have any Mad Bum underwear that you're going to throw out like Jimmy Fallon or something, are you?
No.
Okay,
I don't have that type of campaign.
Tom Adams, Mad Bum. Never mind.
These
Tom,
two are. Can you throw a rock and hit his house? Or?
My dog breaks through the fence into his yard periodically. And we finally figured out why, and it's because another neighbor's cat hangs out in his yard during the day when we're all gone, which is why my dog's trying to get over there. I don't know. That's what he says. I don't know.
Yeah, but I'm also the canine-friendly candidate.
There you go.
That's right.
I mean,
I saw that you were walking at the dog park, handing out flyers to dogs. I don't know. I hope that
it was
works
usually
out.
on the trails, you know.
Well, tell us about the campaign. What did you enjoy most about it?
I think what is amazing about the Davis campaign is just how engaged the electorate is. You know, when you go out there and meet people, they actually know the issues. And all sorts of ways. And so it really required you to be on your toes and really read a lot to understand the issues, to listen, to have a lot of background. Even though my field is education, studying Davis was just a rich growing experience for me, just because the schools are great, the teachers are great, there's good leaders, but also amazingly, Davis parents really know about education.
It's interesting because, you know, I think there's a wide range of issues. We were just talking about sleep deprivation and, you know, looking at the schedules, and, you know, it's very interesting. But I think you're right. I mean, I think depending on where your child is and what you know about your different interests, you can hear quite a bit from our parents. I know you have a background with the Department of Ed,
right?
And so you come like I've been saying this to every one of the candidates. Everyone's got a different skill set and some very unique strengths. And I see that you've, you know, been working with the Department of Education on Common Core and other areas, curriculum, which is near and dear to many of our parents.
Right.
Did you find that made it easier for you, or were there issues that you learned about on the campaign that you hadn't really thought about before, or that you learned more about as you talked with people?
So the interesting thing about Davis for me is that I was expecting a lot of just controversy over Common Core. If you look through other school board elections throughout the country, it's a hot issue. It's a divisive issue, but it really wasn't there. What people wanted from me was more background on, you know, how do the math standards really work, and how does it compare, say, with the previous math standards we had before, or how does, you know, what's the real change in language arts, and are Davis schools, you know, from my opinion, prepared for the change? And so it was very thoughtful discussions. It was, and I think this is remarkable, again, about Davis is, you know, there is a basic consensus here about good education, and that when people look at the issues, they actually study it. They don't listen to the sound bites. They actually go to the documents themselves. They want to hear informed opinions about things. And so, you know, that made my campaign a lot easier, just in terms of, I was expecting some contentious points on it, but it was actually more of a sharing of ideas and exchange about, okay, so how do we move forward in the best way? So that's what I really liked about it. I think, you know, that was I call that a very pleasant surprise.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I know you, Tom. Obviously, we made a joke about that, you know, and when I was on the board, you were very helpful to me in terms of just trying to talk through issues. What do parents think? You have children, or you have a child that was actually going to school on the other side of town, which always gave a whole other perspective too, because this town does have perspectives based on geography in some way, and of course the magnet schools and you know, immersion and all that. But what was the one thing that you woke up one morning and said, this is why I'm going to run? What was there one thing, and what was it that really made you want to do this?
Well, this is, in terms of where I am in my career and my knowledge, and where the district is in terms of its needs, for me, it was the perfect intersection. I have been, you know, leading a lot of efforts on Common Core implementation, and now we're just starting implementing the new science standards called the Next Generation Science Standards. And the district is about to begin that, and has already started that. And I've seen some good work already being done by, you know, district leaders. And I thought, you know, if I don't run now, when? And it comes down to that famous scene in Harry Potter where Dumbledore says to Harry, you know, you can either do the right thing or the easy thing. And I decided to do the right thing.
Dumbledore was played by a guy named Richard Harris. I just thought I'd point that out to you all. It's true, I'm not making that up on it.
So,
poor guy passed away, though, so let's don't go there.
Yeah, let's not go there. Definitely, we need you too.
That's a great answer, though. That's just a great answer.
It is a great answer.
And true, but you know.
And so this nexus brought you here, if not now, when? And so, you know, we do so much appreciate your willingness to serve. I see, you know, people talking about curriculum and, you know, class size reduction and other things that school boards may or may not be responsible for actually making any further changes to. But implementation is also a very important part of what you do, and that. And also, you know, there's other things we were talking about. You know, school districts are often biggest employers in areas. You know, do you see other areas besides curriculum that you're interested in? Like I always think about facilities with Davis right now. When I was reading on the newspaper about people talking about high school, you know, whether or not it should be 3-year or 4-year, and then at the very end it said, well, you know, it would probably cost you know, a ton of money to make sure that we had the facilities that went along with that. I'm not sure everyone always thinks about those things, but are there other issues? Is it facilities or other things that you're interested in that you see need doing in the next few years?
Well, I think job one is to make sure everyone's very comfortable with the current board mix. We're going to have parcel tax up in 2 years, and we want to make sure everyone has confidence in the school district from top to bottom. And I think really that's going to be incumbent upon this next board to reach out to the community to make sure its decision making is rooted in the concerns of everyone, that all voices are heard. I think the other important thing, though, is there's a couple issues I really want to work on. One, I really would like to see us work more on, you know, some of the work we've done well in terms of, say, solar energy. So why haven't we expanded that to other?
Who came up with that?
Yeah.
Whose idea was that?
I don't
That's
know.
a
You know, it's
great
just
idea.
part of the osmosis.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But also, you know, maybe helping creating more extensive help in terms of volunteerism. I know there's a lot of people who want to volunteer for the schools, but they don't know how. And maybe we can create a process where people can apply for that, and then teachers can actually decide who they want in their classroom. I think
and especially in communities that may not be represented so much in the volunteer arena. Reaching out to those folks too, I think, is probably important.
You're right, because I mean, this is, again, one thing that's truly wonderful about Davis is that a lot of people want to help the schools. And even when they don't have kids in the schools, they want to volunteer. And we got to harness that energy in an easy manner so it doesn't, someone can actually go online and say, here are my skill sets, this is what I want to do. We can do a quick background check on them and then have them, you know, find the teacher that they can help.
That's good. That's good.
Sounds like
we've got to do some wrapping up here.
Okay.
We're just going to keep moving. What was Mike Nolan's quote earlier about the school district being
like a river?
Like a river.
Yeah.
The show's
like our
a
show.
river.
We're like a river.
Moving them in and out. We want to thank you for putting yourself out there. Congratulations so far on the on where it stands on the absentees. Guess we'll see.
Yeah.
And
I think you've also been a very calming presence in all of this. I think, you know, we've been through a lot with, you know, as a community. I think it's been, your message is well taken.
Oh, well, thank you. And can I say one thing just to thank my lovely wife, Jan, and my beautiful daughter, Michiko. They were so great throughout this whole process. It really is demanding on families, and they were very supportive throughout the whole time.
And your mother-in-law.
My mother-in-law, what a gem.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot.
It is a family affair.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, Anna, what are we going to get on to next?
I don't know, like a river.
Huh?
Like a river.
Well, no, we've got a few more candidates coming through, or at least one more.
We have the wrap-up.
The wrap, but the one thing I wanted to mention is Autumn is actually tweeting. So the question was, who's tweeting? Autumn's tweeting.
Autumn is tweeting. So you
gotta
can
love that.
go to DMA's Twitter feed, which is at DMA feed, one word, and get live results or live
whatever
thoughts
she's putting
that
out there.
Autumn is going to put out there.
Probably tweeting that my tie didn't match my shirt. Who knows?
And what is Autumn's last name?
You can read it right there.
Lave Renault.
That's exactly right.
And
I
she
knew you could
is
do
our
that.
fearless leader here at DMA, executive producer, and we're happy to have her doing that. I know it's a lot of work to put this show on, and then to be tweeting while all of it is happening is beyond the pale.
And then to be standing back there yelling at those idiots that are on the couch that can't keep everything together. I
Yeah,
mean, really,
I
I know.
Really.
I know. You think they might have state propositions for us? That'd be kind of cool to look at. County results, what do we have? About 24%, huh? And this is number one. Number one, still winning by a lot. And this is not just our county, this is all counties. So that's a good deal there. 1 and 2, both winning handily, it looks like.
2 is that rainy day fund, budget balancing type proposition.
Number of Proposition 45, giving all the power to that one politician, looks like it's not going well for the insurance commissioner. But that one will probably get a lot closer. The same on 46, it's going down too. The doctor drug testing, the medical negligence.
It's the one that raised the cap.
It's the micro cap. It's the lawyer's
on negligent lawsuits, right?
Yeah. All right. Criminal sentences, and that one looks like it's passing or leading, I should say. Maybe not hasn't passed yet. And that's 47. And Prop 48, the Indian gaming, one group of gamers is winning over the other group of gamers, as that 48 looks like it's going down in flames. And I think that's all the propositions that we have. Maybe we can show the school board numbers one more time. Nothing's really changed as far as I can see. Do you see anything different?
Nope, we've got Madhavi number 1 and followed by Barbara Archer, and then Tom Adams, Bob Popengay, Jose Granda,
Mike Nolan and Chuck Reardon. See, for
Reardon.
you at home, you don't know that Anna and I both have a little bit of sight challenges, and this is always like being at Dr. Schrader's office, looking at it and seeing if you can see with this eye or that one. I don't know. But I'll tell you one thing that's even stranger is that we have not one, but 2 school board members in our studio right now. They magically appear
and they didn't even
through television.
have to campaign.
Susan Levenberg and Sheila Allen. Isn't that something? And Susan will still be on the school board. Win, lose, or draw tonight for anybody else. You don't get off yet. Your sentence continues. And Sheila, you're
out of here.
You're out of here. You're already out of here.
Not quite yet.
No.
I have weeks. I have a couple weeks yet.
You do. And before we get started on any of that, I would just thank you on a personal level for your service and all the time that we spend together and everything. And if I start crying, Anna will then just pick up. I would come over and give you a hug.
It's
but
okay. I'm here for you, Richard.
I'm chained to my microphone box back here with duct tape. You wonder why I'm sitting up straight? It's 'cause I can't move.
Like your posture's improved, Richard.
Well, it's the duct tape, okay? So that's just how it is. But I really do appreciate everything
Absolutely.
that you've done.
The community
You've been on the school board for 9 years.
9 years, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
My kids were in elementary school when I started, and now they're 2 in college and 1 a senior in high school. So
congratulations.
Yeah, I know.
And you're still married.
I'm still married, same guy.
Wow. Mitch.
Hi, Mitch. He said for the first time he would watch.
Yeah, Mitch is finally watching.
Yeah,
that's why I
all
said
these years,
that.
yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Well, one of the things we were talking to the candidates about, they're such a stellar group. I mean, it's just a wonderful thing to see the variety of talent and skill sets that they're bringing. But you know that there's the campaign, and then there's what you actually do. We got into a little bit of that discussion with Alan Fernandes about some of the things that, consensus building and why that talent is very important. Share with us a little bit about kind of what you see as the real strengths in a school board member as they move forward, the kinds of things that they should be aware of going in.
You want me to start?
You may. Go ahead.
Either and both.
Yeah, yeah.
Please.
Yes, well, I'll give you my perspective, and then Sheila will give you sort of the closer. What campaigns really force you into having an individual voice, expressing what it is that you want to make happen. People are looking for leadership and vision, which are important qualities, but when you get on a board and you're one of 5, I think it's often a little bit of a surprise that that leadership and vision has to be melded and merged with 4 other perspectives on the board. And so that's where the ability not just to be able to articulate a vision and know what you want to achieve, but be able to listen to other people and try and really develop a shared vision for the district is really important. And so I don't think campaigns prepare you for governing.
Absolutely.
And so there's,
especially this kind of governing, right?
Yeah. So there's going to be a transition phase for all of the new board members, and I think that it's a good thing that we have a number of new board members together, and I'm really looking forward to taking some time to really do some retreats, do some opportunity to really meld as a board so that we've got a sense of who we are and where we want to go together.
Yeah, well said.
Well, and you're going to be the continuity, right? So that'll be...
but Alan has been there for 3 months, which has given him a little bit of a
head start.
He's got a sense.
It's a little bit of an inside joke here, but for you to say that now you get to do a lot of retreats, okay?
I know it's like Tim Taylor is rolling over.
Tim is rolling over in his
Richard and Tim were like, retreats.
Okay. No, we were okay with retreats.
Yes.
No, we weren't. What do you think about it?
Well, I'd just like to expand on what you started with about the difference between a campaign and governing. And I was reading some of the statements from some of the board members, and I thought, ha! And I pulled my very first campaign. I was like, and this is what needs to be done, and this is what I'm going to do. And that's not really how it is.
Right.
So it's really about getting the right people at the table and making sure that not only the people that sit up on the dais agree with you, or at least 2 of them, so that you can get something passed. But it's really about being a community leader and a community listener. So they're really the bosses, is the community. And then if we make a decision to be able to articulate that to not only the superintendent that we directly work with, but his staff, but then all the way through the teachers and the playground people and everyone. That's always been my word, is while we could have a really great discussion and say, and all in favor say aye, and then what? So making sure that what we're working towards is something that the community also is interested in, that the staff can be on board with, and that we can all move together. So it's even more of building a team than just the 5 people that are sitting up on the dais, but it's really a community.
What are you most proud of now that you're
on the way out?
What
9 years is a long time.
And it doesn't have to just be one.
Well,
there's
a couple things. It's the fact that really, I used to joke about it, but we as not just we as a governing team, but we as a whole district and community kept the district together through one of the worst financial times. When Gina, Tim, and I ran, 10 years ago, because we started running before the actual election, we had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. None. Zero. And for us to all come together and really for the most part, maintain most of the programs. And there were some things that had to give, and it was really, really difficult. That we were able to, as a community, to move through that and come out the other side mostly whole, and in some ways better. I'm very proud of that, to be part. It was difficult, but I'm very proud to have been a part of that.
And Richard was a big part of that too. So
you were part of that. You were in
a sense of just, even as things felt like they were going to hell in a handbasket, I think the community really rallied, and it was inspiring to be part of that.
Well, if you think about it too, you and I got on in November of 2007 and took office in December of. And then
it went hell in a handbasket.
And I've always blamed you for the financial you know,
It was your fault, Richard.
The economic crisis.
the economic crisis was Susan Levenberg's fault. So I single-handedly kept us out. Now, you know, it really, you think about it, and you say you had no clue when you ran then that was, because things weren't really that bad when you guys first ran
there were
a couple years.
some major financial issues when we first came
There
in.
were issues with the district, yes,
Right,
that's
but
right,
not
but there
the
weren't the
whole-
overall. And
The statewide.
I think that, I mean, we never saw that train coming, and there's no way we would be where we are if it wasn't for the community. I mean, I always just felt like we're just up there making decisions, but like you said, it was everybody there, and then everybody stepped up on these parcel taxes.
Yeah.
If we had not passed parcel taxes through those years, you would
5 parcel taxes.
think of that.
5
Yeah.
years.
And
You
that's
would-
when on my list of things that I either was the chair or
Yeah.
helped to run all 5 of them. That's something that I'm, you know, well, and sometimes I get just a little cranky, like, okay, you, Mr. Making saying mean things. Well, you were having dinner with your family. I was out making phone calls and running a parcel tax because it was that important that it had to be done, and I felt very strong about it.
Did what we had to do, and the community stepped up. It's a pretty amazing place
the
to
Davis
live.
Schools Foundation. I mean, it was just
Yeah,
all
that-
those things rose up during that time.
Yes.
Yep, all the parts together.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then to you know be able to build that beautiful stadium, our largest classroom during the time, and we had MLK built during my time. It was, yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of good things.
I'm proud of it.
And
There was some
a
difficult-
few solar panels that
a
might be
few
saving
solar.
us
I
some
think of
money.
you every time that I park underneath them.
And we hope that in the future that the district will have some facility money to be able to buy out the contract and own those things outright and have even more savings and maybe build some more, do some more.
Yeah, well, there's some really interesting facilities things coming up right now. We're sort of in the middle.
the
of
property.
We talked to Alan a little bit about that, Susan, just about, you know, what is going to be facing us. So obviously, we've got to talk about facilities and a parcel tax all at the same time. Talk about a community conversation.
Yeah, no,
And,
it's true. It's true. I mean, as we were running parcel taxes to hold together the program, our facilities were going wanting, and so the state really is not interested in stepping up and providing even matching funds at this point for facilities. So it's really going to be a community responsibility.
And they're looking to the locals to do that. So, I mean, I'm sure, you know, throughout the state there'll be a statewide discussion about that. But yes, I mean, we've been good about that. I think our parents know what the situation is, and we'll see what they do in the future. So, school board, into the future, we'll see.
Yeah.
We have we're getting the high sign about wrapping up.
No,
I just want to
don't
give you
look that
both.
way. Don't
I
look
want to
that
give you both the
Ignore her.
opportunity.
We're going to stay. We're taking over
to
this
say some
station.
final words about you know what you see for the future and your own experiences.
Well, I'll start because I think you should have the final word. But you know, I've really enjoyed so I've only been on the school board for 7 years, but I really it's felt like a while. And I've enjoyed all of the relationships that I've had with the school board, and so there's a sense of loss with some good friends who are moving on. But I'm also excited about the opportunity for some new people who are coming on board who really seem to bringing some fresh perspective and some new energy to the school board, and I'm excited to be there for the next 2 years and help that group move forward.
And when Gina, Tim, and I came on together 9 years ago, there was a lot of concern that it was 3 new people, the majority of the board were going to be brand new, and I think we did just fine. And I think that this new group will do just fine. I'm really excited about the mixture of personalities and experiences, and they'll do great.
Well, and you're not going anywhere, right? They're going to be able to
I'm not going anywhere.
talk with you about exactly. Hotline.
All right.
Okay.
We have
well,
to
we
wrap it up.
appreciate you coming and the time that you've given to the community already.
We really do. Thank
Absolutely, Michael.
you. All right.
Thank you.
Well, Anna, it's been a lot of fun.
I guess that means
That means it's time
Stop
for us
talking.
to. Yeah, they all want to go home.
we're going to be here when the lights go out. All right.
I think we should just keep going to your little computer, and we'll just.
Is there an update?
We'll keep going. The lights will be over.
There are no updates, and
I
it's
think we
just
still have to
how
do
it
one
is.
last. Do we do one
I
last?
want to I want to thank everybody for tuning in to DCTV, Channel 15 on the Comcast system. It was live coverage tonight of the November 4th election. It was simulcast on KDIRT. I want to give out a shout out to our partners, the city government, Channel 16, Davis Community Network, Omsoft Technologies, Yolo County's elections office. You can see on your screen all of the folks behind the scenes that have been working all night, and we really want to appreciate their effort. And I guess really that is about all we can say.
But consider supporting all of us at